Discussed in a previous video, evidence exists that in 775 AD, a fleet of ships carrying 700 Christianized Romans left the Roman Empire under the command of Theodorus the Renowned, bound for the New World. The information regarding this colonial effort comes from an engraved cross that was unearthed near present-day Tucson, Arizona. According to the story engraved on the cross, after a landing on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, the Romans marched northwest until arriving at a desert area near present-day Tucson, where they built a city that they called Terra Calalus. According to the records found, the colony flourished until approximately 900 AD, when the local Native American tribes that they had been oppressing for almost 125 years destroyed it. Calalus, meaning desert people, evidently designated a territory corresponding roughly to the Sonoran Desert north of the original intrusive enclave of Puerto Tarascans in Michoacán, or possibly by extension to all of West Mexico. Tucson artifacts are most often classified as a hoax. The successor Pima and Papago tribes began as a small constituent of Piman-speaking Sobaipuri from the east, known as Coyote tribes in the Hohokam legend, who invaded the Hohokam territory and conquered the mixed populations about the 14th century. Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. They referred to the new lands, towns, and inhabitants as all used up, wasted, a description surprisingly similar to the meaning of Calalus. Welcome back to In Search for Tontonteac. Who were the Hohokam? Modern-day tribes may refer to the Hohokam as the Ancient Ones, but this is not an etymology, no more than Anasazi is in its meaning of the Ancient Ones, as it is, in reality, a Navajo word translated literally as enemy people. Albert Schroeder, a researcher for Amrin Foundation, says, Hohokam civilization in the Southwest arose from the mechanism of the diffusion of trading families from a heartland located in the Pacific-facing regions of Michoacán, Jalisco, Nayarit, and Colima far to the south. The Purepecha, or Tarascan-speaking Indians who still dominate the region, were sea-born intruders from afar themselves. Tarascan means late arrivals, and the first settlers are believed to have landed in a virtually uninhabited desert around the mouth of the Balsas River, expanding their territory from this new homeland. Adopting the Pachteca system, the Tarascans transported their own people in colonies to peripheral areas to exploit the resources of new lands and build trade and industry, including unusual crafts like metalworking. They inserted themselves into the Phoenix and Tucson basins by conquering the indigenous groups that thinly occupied the region, the Hakataya tribes, or Old Ones. In the words of Paul Grebinger, a doctoral dissertation author at the University of Arizona, after AD 600 a group of conquering Mexicans in the form of trading families established themselves bodily in central locations throughout southern Arizona, where they were able to exploit the local population and resources and expand into areas as far north as southern Colorado. Interestingly, the scholars break the Hohokam periods into 4 eras: Pioneer, from 400 BC to 775 current era; Colonial, 775 to 975 AD; Sedentary, 975 to 1150; and Classic from 1150 to 1450. These mercantile and militaristic rulers probably called themselves Toltecs, as did also the Romans who undertook the government of the region. It was a generalized label tantamount to builder, craftsman, trading family, sophisticate, not an ethnonym. They brought whole new trait complexes, which they blended with the patterns of the subject peoples, pattern diffusion. Modern-day pre-Hohokam groups include the Yuman, Quechan, Patayan, Sinagua, Kohonina, and Lakwish. Toltec is commemorated in the name of at least one Hohokam town, Toltec, Arizona. According to later historical descriptions, the Toltecs practiced cremation, as did, uniquely, the southwestern tribes in the Hohokam cultural zone, emphasized a class-caste social hierarchy ruled by a bloodline elite, had guilds and workshops that included the rare crafts of metalworking, shell and turquoise inlay work and copper bell manufacture, as proved in Snaketown and Casas Grandes, understood surveying, architecture, city planning, and canal construction, were both literate and numerate, and had a calendar. They are linked with the arrival of ball courts and central plazas in the Southwest, along with copper bells, pallets, and other elite symbols. They worshiped Tezcatlipoca, called Smoking Mirror by the Aztecs, as their principal deity. Tezcatlipoca was the brother of Quetzalcoatl and patron god of warriors and their camps. His worship has been noted in the formative phases of Hohokam culture at Snaketown and later at Casas Grande. By contrast, the Aztecs and similar tribes placed the war god Huitzilopochtli at the top of their pantheon. So, the Aztec and the Hohokam were not related. They still may have been trade partners, but they were not the same group. So what does DNA have to say? DNA paints a remarkably mixed picture of the New World. Hellenthal and his team in A Genetic Atlas of Human Admixture History present two opposite strains that meet in the Pima. Strain 1, described as the Turkish side, shows Greek 5.6% Dour, a Mongolic-speaking ethnic group in northeastern China, 1.7%, and Sardinian 1.0%. Less than 1.0% on this side of Pima mixed ancestry are Maya, Zibo, a Tungusic people living mostly in Xinjiang, Jilin, bordering North Korea, Polish, Caritiana, and indigenous people of Brazil, Mozabite, Druze, Colombian, and Bedouin. These traces are quantitatively low but distinct and not to be dismissed. On side 2, labeled as the Maya-like, we find Maya 54.4% Colombian, 7.0% Caritiana, Brazilian tribe, 4.6% Japanese, 2.9% Surui, indigents of Brazil, 2.4% Han Chinese, 2.3% Origin, dubbed China's last hunting tribe by the press, 1.9% Hazara, Afghan, 1.6% Chuvash, Turkic ethnic group native to an area stretching from the Volga region to Siberia, 1.4% Yakut, another Turkic Siberian native group, 1.0% Barasho, northern Pakistan, all today Ismaili Muslims, 1.0% and Hezan, Jurchens of Manchuria, 0.8%. The early Hohokam appear to be a mix of several different cultures, as we have found the ancient America to be. The Hohokam, however, from about the year 700 to 800 were Toltecs from Mesoamerica, who in turn were a product of Pacific Rim diffusion of peoples. The Pueblo and Zuni tribes' origins were mixed with ancient Old World cultures also, Aztec and the Anasazi, as suggested by their languages and use of adobe architecture, along with their legends. Southwest cultures did not develop independently of each other or the rest of America. They received the spark of civilization and signal advances in lifeways from Mesoamerica, with its culture bearers from the opposite side of the Pacific Ocean, including merchant adventurers from Europe via India and China. This diffusionist model sorely needs to apply to other regional studies in American anthropology. The Tucson artifacts bear reliable dates in the Christian calendar: 560, 705, 775, 800, 880, 885, 900. They document the annals and prosopography of a distinct geopolitical entity, a Roman-styled military kingdom in Toltec Mexico with Jewish leaders from Brittany, the Carolingian or Frankish heartland on the Seine, and Gaul, one that existed for over a century, 890–900. They are straightforwardly composed in Latin, the official language of records during the Middle Ages. They are plainly written in a script intended for public scrutiny. The circumstances of their manufacture from local lead and their recovery from the desert soil localized them to the place where they were excavated. With the large presence of Greek in the DNA records of the Pima, even offers more credence to this story. John Ogilby's image at the front of his book entitled America really does depict a very diverse America. What are your thoughts?